Nobody tells you this when you're shopping for a Florida retirement home. The crime rate in the zip code you choose doesn't just affect your safety. It directly affects your homeowner's insurance premium, your property value trajectory, your resale liquidity 5 years from now. In other words, moving to the wrong Florida town doesn't just put you at physical risk. It can silently drain your retirement savings, one rising premium at a time. Here are the 10 towns where that risk is highest, built entirely on 2026 FBI crime data. Florida attracts more than 140 million visitors per year. It draws more retirement-age migrants than any other state in the country. Its no-income tax promise, its warm winters, and its retirement community infrastructure have made it the default answer to the question, where should I spend the rest of my life? But Florida is not one place. It is 67 counties, hundreds of municipalities, and a crime landscape that varies so dramatically from zip code to zip code that two cities located 20 miles apart can have crime rates that differ by a factor of 10 or more. In this video, I am going to give you the 10 most dangerous towns in Florida based on the most current available data from the FBI's Crime Data Explorer and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Every number I cite comes from published government and verified research sources. Every ranking reflects per capita crime rates, meaning we are not simply listing large cities with high total crime volumes, but places where your statistical likelihood of being a victim is highest, regardless of population size. This matters specifically for retirees and families evaluating Florida as a long-term home. Because crime rates are not just a quality of life issue. They are a financial issue. Crime rates directly affect homeowners' insurance premiums. They affect property values. They affect the resale liquidity of real estate in those markets. And they affect the safety of the retirement lifestyle that most people move to Florida to access. We will go through each of the 10 towns, give you the specific data, explain the structural factors driving the numbers, and, at the end, give you the framework for how to use this information in your own location decision. Let's go through the list. 1. The data framework. Before we start the countdown, I want to be precise about methodology, because how a dangerous city list is built determines whether it is useful or misleading. We are not ranking by total crime volume. A city of 500,000 people will always generate more total crimes than a city of 12,000. That comparison tells you nothing about your personal risk. We are ranking by crime rate per 1,000 residents, specifically the combined rate of violent crime and property crime per capita. Violent crime includes murder, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault. Property crime includes burglary, larceny theft, motor vehicle theft, and arson. The primary data source is the FBI's Crime Data Explorer, using the 2024 Crime in the United States report, the most recent fully published year. Supplementary data comes from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement's Uniform Crime Reports and from Neighborhood Scout's city-level analysis. One important caveat: this analysis includes only crime data from agencies that submitted complete reports to the FBI through the National Incident-Based Reporting System. Cities with incomplete reporting may not appear even if they have significant crime issues. Where a city's data is incomplete or estimated, we note it. Florida's statewide baseline for 2024, violent crime rate of 2,290 per 100,000 residents and property crime rate of 8,013 per 100,000 residents. Any city significantly above those baselines represents elevated risk relative to the state average. With that framework in place, let's count down. 10. Tallahassee. Number 10 on our list is Florida's own state capital. Tallahassee is the seat of the Florida legislature. The city where the property tax debates, the retirement reform proposals, and the homeowners insurance market interventions are actively being decided. It is a government town with a large university population, a substantial professional workforce, and a crime rate that consistently places it among Florida's most dangerous cities by per capita measure. Tallahassee has a violent crime rate of 5.18 per 1,000 residents, coupled with high property crime rates, statistics that place Tallahassee above the state level and highlight it as a city with notable safety concerns. The structural drivers here are well documented. Tallahassee has significant economic inequality, a university population, a government workforce, and a lower-income residential base all coexisting in close geographic proximity. The Pine Hills Corridor and several neighborhoods on the south side of the city carry crime rates dramatically above the city average, while the University District and northern residential communities remain largely insulated. For retirees, Tallahassee does not make most people's Florida retirement shortlist, given its relative distance from major healthcare systems compared to Tampa Bay or Orlando. But for state employees or former educators connected to Florida State University or Florida A&M who are evaluating Tallahassee as a retirement destination, the crime data should factor explicitly into neighborhood-level due diligence. 9. Lake Worth Beach. Number 9 is Lake Worth Beach in Palm Beach County, one of the most economically divided counties in the United States, where extreme wealth in Palm Beach and Boca Raton coexists with significant poverty and elevated crime in communities just miles away. Lake Worth Beach's violent crime rate stands at 8.72 per 1,000 residents, significantly higher than both the Florida state average of 3.8 and the national average of 4.0. Property crimes, including burglary, larceny, motor vehicle theft, and arson, occur at a rate of 26.65 per 1,000 residents. Gang activity near the FEC Railway Corridor is a documented contributor to Lake Worth Beach's crime profile. The Shell gas station on Park Avenue has been identified as a known hotspot for criminal activity. The proximity to Palm Beach County's premium real estate markets creates a specific risk for retirees. Lake Worth Beach is geographically close to highly desirable coastal areas, which means buyers looking for affordability within striking distance of the ocean sometimes end up here without fully understanding the crime differential between adjacent communities. The financial implication is direct. Homeowners insurance in Lake Worth Beach runs meaningfully higher than in comparable Palm Beach County communities with lower crime rates. Crime history in a specific zip code is one of the factors insurers use to price property coverage, and in Lake Worth Beach, that factor adds to an already elevated South Florida premium baseline. 8. Daytona Beach. Number 8 is Daytona Beach, one of Florida's most iconic coastal destinations, and one of its most consistently dangerous cities by per capita crime measure. Daytona Beach records 6.53 violent crimes and 40.12 property crimes per 1,000 residents, concentrated primarily along the Ridgewood Avenue Bar corridor. The city's crime is not evenly distributed. The beachfront tourist zone presents one face of the city to visitors and seasonal residents, while inland and corridor neighborhoods carry dramatically different crime profiles. The tourism economy creates specific crime patterns: high transient populations, large cash economies, concentrated nightlife areas, and seasonal crime spikes driven by spring break and NASCAR race week volumes. Vehicle theft and property crime peak during high tourist months as the ratio of unfamiliar visitors, who are less security conscious, to local residents increases dramatically. For retirees specifically, Daytona Beach has historically attracted buyers seeking affordable beachfront or near-beach real estate on Florida's Atlantic coast. The entry price points are substantially below what comparable Gulf Coast or South Florida coastal communities command. But that affordability discount is partly a crime premium in reverse. The market has priced in elevated risk, which is reflected in both home values and insurance costs. If you are evaluating Daytona Beach, neighborhood-level analysis, not city-level averages, is essential. Ormond Beach, immediately to the north, has dramatically different crime statistics for a reason, and the price differential between the two markets reflects it. 7. Orlando. Number 7 on the list is the city most people associate with Disney, Universal Studios, and family vacation infrastructure. Orlando is a global tourism brand. It is also a city with serious and well-documented crime in specific internal corridors. Orlando reports 6.89 violent crimes and 42.45 property crimes per 1,000 residents, concentrated in the Liberty City and Little Haiti neighborhoods. International Drive hotels average 3 times more thefts than properties at Disney World. The crime divide in Orlando is stark and geographically specific. The International Drive corridor, the theme park ring, and the suburban communities of Winter Park, Dr. Phillips, Lake Nona, and Baldwin Park operate in a fundamentally different safety environment than Pine Hills, a neighborhood so consistently documented in local crime statistics that Orlando law enforcement has dedicated specific resources to it. For the retirement community, Orlando's healthcare infrastructure, Advent Health, Orlando Health, makes the broader metro area genuinely attractive for retirees who prioritize medical access. But moving to Orlando is not a single decision. It is a neighborhood-level decision that requires scrutiny of specific zip codes rather than city-level averages. The practical financial takeaway: Homeowners insurance quotes for an Orlando address can vary by hundreds of dollars annually depending on the specific zip code, reflecting crime rate differentials that the city-level average completely obscures. 6. Miami. Number 6 is the city most associated with Florida's international reputation, and a city that demonstrates, perhaps more clearly than any other on this list, the critical importance of neighborhood-level analysis over city-level assumptions. Miami reports 6.72 violent crimes and 41.23 property crimes per 1,000 residents, concentrated in Liberty City and Little Haiti. The Wynwood Arts District has seen a 40% reduction in thefts with the implementation of private security. Miami's crime landscape is among the most geographically stratified of any major American city. Coral Gables, Coconut Grove, Brick Hill, Miami Beach's Mid-Beach Corridor, these communities operate at crime rates that are dramatically below the city average and often below the Florida state average. Liberty City and Overtown carry rates that are dramatically above. The retirement market implications in Miami are primarily financial rather than safety-related, because most retirees considering Miami are looking at price points that automatically place them in lower crime neighborhoods. The more relevant issue in Miami for the retirement audience is the insurance market. Miami homeowners face the heaviest insurance burden of any major U.S. metro, with average annual premiums that represent the highest in the nation. Crime is one factor in that pricing. Hurricane exposure, litigation history, and carrier exit are others. The cumulative impact is an insurance cost that is simply incompatible with a fixed-income retirement for the majority of retirees. 5. Cocoa. Number 5 is Cocoa, a city of approximately 19,000 residents on Florida's Space Coast, located on the western shore of the Indian River Lagoon across from Cocoa Beach. Cocoa has a violent crime rate of 61 per 1,000 citizens. The most commonly committed acts of violent crime in Cocoa are burglaries and assaults. The 524 corridor sees weekday armed robberies targeting shipyard workers. Cocoa sits in Brevard County, home to Kennedy Space Center, a booming aerospace economy, and the popular retirement and vacation community of Cocoa Beach on the Barrier Island. The distinction between Cocoa and Cocoa Beach matters enormously. They are different municipalities with dramatically different crime profiles. Cocoa, the mainland city, carries the elevated crime rate. Cocoa Beach, the Barrier Island community accessible by causeway, has a substantially lower rate. This geographic confusion catches buyers who are drawn to the Space Coast's economic momentum and natural beauty, particularly the Indian River Lagoon estuary, which offers some of the best fishing and boating in the state, but who do not rigorously distinguish between the mainland city and the island community. For retirees, Brevard County's retirement market is legitimate and has genuine value propositions, particularly in communities like Rockledge, Melbourne, and Riviera. The specific municipality of Cocoa requires neighborhood-level scrutiny that its Space Coast branding does not prompt. 4. Belle Glade. Number 4 is Belle Glade, a small agricultural city of approximately 18,000 residents in the western reaches of Palm Beach County, on the southern shore of Lake Okeechobee. It is one of the most economically distressed communities in Florida and carries one of the state's most persistently elevated crime rates. Belle Glade records 1,310 violent crimes per 100,000 residents, a rate that places it among the highest in the state. Violent crime is nearly 3 times the national average and property crimes are just as severe. In recent months alone, a gas station shooting left 1 dead and 2 injured, and an off-duty deputy was murdered in a targeted attack. Belle Glade's crime profile is deeply rooted in concentrated poverty. The poverty rate among its residents is significantly higher than the national average of 12.4%. The city's economy has historically been tied to sugar cane agriculture, seasonal, low-wage work that has left the community without the economic diversification that most Florida cities have benefited from. Belle Glade does not appear on most retirement consideration lists, and for good reason. Its geographic position, inland, far from major healthcare systems, and carrying persistently high crime rates, makes it unsuitable as a retirement destination by virtually any evaluative standard. Its inclusion on this list is informational rather than cautionary for most viewers. It appears in statewide crime rankings consistently and provides useful context for understanding the range of the Florida crime landscape. 3. Riviera Beach. Number 3 is Riviera Beach, and this entry requires specific geographic context, because Riviera Beach's position in Palm Beach County creates one of the most jarring juxtapositions in the Florida real estate market. Riviera Beach is located on the outskirts of the Palm Beach metro area with a community of 35,000 people. Its violent crime rate is 62.2 crimes for every 1,000 citizens, and it holds the worst murder rate in the entire state of Florida, 7 times higher than the national average. 7 times the national murder rate. In a city of 35,000 people. In a county that contains Palm Beach, one of the wealthiest municipalities in the United States. The geographic proximity to affluence does not confer safety. Riviera Beach sits directly adjacent to the Singer Island Barrier Island community and the broader Palm Beach County coastal market, but it functions as a separate municipality with its own tax base, its own law enforcement budget, and its own crime dynamics. The causeway that connects Riviera Beach to Singer Island is, in crime rate terms, a journey between 2 entirely different statistical environments. 2. Opa-locka. Number 2 is Opa-locka, a city of approximately 15,000 residents in Miami-Dade County, located about 10 miles northwest of downtown Miami. Opa-locka ranks 4th in Florida's most dangerous cities with a crime rate of 19.57 per 1,000 residents. Opa-locka has been on Florida's high crime lists for longer than almost any other municipality in the state. Its challenges are structural and persistent. Extreme poverty, inadequate tax base for municipal services, documented gang activity tied to Miami-Dade's broader organized crime landscape, and a history of municipal government dysfunction that has at times included state oversight and intervention. The city is notable for its Moorish architecture, a legacy of a 1920s development vision that never fully materialized, which gives it a visual distinctiveness entirely out of proportion with its current economic and safety profile. That architectural identity occasionally generates media interest that romanticizes the city's history without engaging honestly with its present conditions. For retirees and anyone evaluating real estate in Northwest Miami-Dade, the proximity to Miami's employment and cultural amenities makes the broader corridor attractive on paper. But Opa-locka specifically requires an unambiguous no, not because of its architectural history or its people, but because the crime data has been consistently and severely elevated for a generation, and the structural conditions driving it have not been meaningfully resolved. 1. Florida City. Number 1 is Florida City, and it has held this position, across multiple independent datasets, for several consecutive years. The most dangerous city in Florida is Florida City. Based on the most recent FBI crime data, the violent crime rate in Florida is 2,290 per 100,000 statewide. Florida City's rate is dramatically above that baseline. Florida City has an overall crime rate of 88 per 1,000 residents, meaning individuals have a 1 in 11 chance of becoming a victim of either violent or property crime. Florida City has the highest violent crime rate in Florida, 17.56 per 1,000 residents, 6 times the state average. The odds, 1 in 57 for violent crime, 1 in 14 for property crime. Aggravated assaults and robberies are far above national levels. Florida City sits at the southern end of Miami-Dade County, at the gateway to the Florida Keys, approximately 35 miles south of downtown Miami. Its geographic position at the entry to US 1 heading south creates significant transient traffic. Its economic base is thin, agricultural processing, some tourism infrastructure serving Keys-bound travelers, and a workforce largely dependent on employment elsewhere in Miami-Dade County. The poverty rate in Florida City is severe. Economic opportunity within the municipality is limited. And the crime rate reflects those structural realities and statistics that have remained persistently among the highest in the state regardless of which dataset or methodology is applied. One clarification that matters for context: Florida City as a municipality is distinct from the broader Homestead, Florida City metro area and from the Florida Keys communities that lie south of it. Key West, Marathon, Isla Morada, these are separate municipalities that share no meaningful statistical overlap with Florida City's crime profile. The name proximity creates confusion that misleads some buyers into misidentifying risk. Honorable mentions. Before we close, 3 additional communities deserve specific mention, because they appear consistently in Florida crime analyses and are towns that the retirement and real estate audience specifically needs to be aware of. Lake City. Lake City has a violent crime rate of 77.59 crimes for every 1,000 citizens, nearly 4 times higher than the state average. With 30% of its 12,329 residents living below the poverty line. Lake City has a crime rate higher than 98.6% of United States cities. Located between Jacksonville and Tallahassee on I-10, it appears frequently on lists of dangerous Florida cities and deserves specific caution for anyone evaluating North Florida options. Mangonia Park. Mangonia Park in Palm Beach County carries a very high crime rate, with 6,134 people victimized for every 100,000. It is a hotspot for drug trafficking, with 20.4% of its population living below the poverty line. Its small size and Palm Beach County location mean it sometimes goes unnoticed in statewide analyses despite consistently severe per capita crime rates. Medley ranks second in Florida's most dangerous cities with a crime rate of 21.40 per 1,000 residents, above Opa-locka and just below Florida City. Its industrial character and small residential population mean it rarely appears in retirement conversations, but its per capita rate is among the highest in the state. The Retirement Planning Framework. What to do with this information, the 4-step safety due diligence process. This list is not meant to discourage Florida retirement. It is meant to arm you with the specific data that makes a safe Florida retirement possible. Florida residents are less likely to experience violent crime, gun violence, and property crime compared to nationwide averages. Despite these positive trends, Floridians report above-average concerns about crime and safety. That gap, between statistical reality and perceived risk, exists because most people evaluate Florida at the state level rather than the neighborhood level. Here's the 4-step process I would apply to any Florida location decision. Step 1. Verify crime data at the zip code level, not the city level. City averages obscure internal variation that is often more significant than the variation between cities. Orlando's city average is not the same as the Orlando neighborhood you are specifically considering. Use Neighborhood Scout, the FBI Crime Data Explorer, and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement's interactive crime data tool, all publicly available, all free, to pull crime rates for the specific address or neighborhood you are evaluating. Step 2. Request an insurance quote for the specific property before you make an offer. Homeowners insurance in Florida is priced at the property level, not just the city level. The specific zip code's crime history, flood zone designation, distance to fire station, construction year, roof type, and proximity to coast all factor into the quote. An insurance quote for the specific address you are considering is the fastest single piece of due diligence you can do. If the quote is incompatible with your retirement budget before you own the property, you have avoided a binding financial commitment. Step 3. Visit the neighborhood at different times of day. No dataset replaces direct observation. Visit on a weekday afternoon. Drive through on a Friday evening. Walk the block. The visual and social environment of a neighborhood, the condition of properties, the activity on streets, the demographic composition of foot traffic, tells you things that crime statistics cannot fully capture. Step 4. Ask your real estate agent the direct question, what is the crime trend in this neighborhood over the last 3 years? Florida's safety landscape in 2026 is not a simple story. Florida is the 34th most dangerous state in the United States, not the most dangerous, not the safest, but a state whose overall numbers are meaningfully shaped by a small number of high-crime municipalities rather than by a uniform statewide risk level. The 10 towns on this list represent the worst of that landscape. The safest cities in Florida: Vero Beach, with just 0.3 violent crimes per 1,000 people, Safety Harbor, at 1.3 per 1,000, Dunedin, at 0.8 per 1,000, represent the best of it. The gap between those two realities is enormous, and it is navigable with the right information. You are making a decision that you will live with for 20 or 30 years. The neighborhoods on this list are not appropriate for that decision. The research tools to identify the good ones are free and accessible. Use them. Subscribe for more data-driven Florida retirement analysis. Share this with anyone evaluating a Florida move. And tell me in the comments, has crime data affected your Florida location decision? I read every response and it shapes everything we cover next.